Situation in Iraq and the question of whether the surge has helped improve conditions there. During the primaries, you criticized Senator Clinton for failing to say that her vote authorizing the war was a mistake. Now we have commanders on the ground pretty much saying that the surge has succeeded, and yet you've said that if you had to do it all over again, you still would have voted against the surge. We're not going to ask you whether to change your position here.
You're not going to ask me, but go ahead.
But I would like to know whether you feel that after the last 5 years, haven't we learned that a commander-in-chief needs to be willing to acknowledge mistakes or errors in judgment when circumstances change?
I mean, I have to say, it is fascinating to me to hear you guys re-emphasize this over and over again. I have not heard yet somebody ask John McCain whether his vote to go into Iraq was a mistake. I haven't. During the entire week that we were having this conversation. And so the question is, what are the strategic judgments that have to be made in order to make America safe? I strongly believe that going into Iraq was a disaster, strategically. It distracted us from finishing the job in Afghanistan. I have acknowledged repeatedly in every one of these interviews that the fact that we put more troops in there helped to quell the violence. Right? I've been saying that all week. The question is whether or not my position in suggesting that we need to begin a phased withdrawal, we should have begun it earlier, whether that position that I took was a mistake. And I do not believe it was, because I continue to believe that the only way for us to stabilize the situation in Iraq, I believed it then and I believe it now, is for the parties to arrive at a set of political accommodations. Now, anytime you put 20 to 30,000 U.S. troops anywhere in the world, they are going to perform brilliantly, and that is going to contribute to keeping the lid on violence. The question is whether or not that military action alone is sufficient to solve the problems. And had there been a continuation of a civil war in Iraq in which Sunnis and Shias were going at each other full bore, in which Sunnis were still aligned with al-Qaeda, using military solutions to that problem would not have been sufficient in my estimation. Now, we don't know what would have happened had we followed my plan to begin a phased withdrawal to put pressure on the Maliki government to start negotiating more effectively with some of these other parties. But that is no way takes away from the great work that our troops did and the terrific tactical work that General Petraeus and Ambassador Crocker have engaged in. The key now is how do we move forward? And I think that people believe that at this point we are in a position to start drawing down our troops, partly because we've got to get some troops into Afghanistan, and there's no other place for us to get them.